TIFU. 1. A government surplus auction. I get a break here because it happened when I was 13 years old. I was a young wannabe photographer, and I had been researching the cost of setting up my own darkroom. It's a mostly lost art. You need an enlarger. They ran from very simple optical lamps for under $100 to super sophisticated models that ran over $1,000, film tanks, chemicals, paper, and dozens of other pieces of equipment. Plus, you needed a light-proof room with decent ventilation. My parents were mostly supportive. If not, mostly disinterested. I was allowed to come and go as I please, and they were willing to let me use an unused bathroom at our house to set up my erstwhile darkroom. I just never had enough money to do it, so I used to have to use a rented darkroom at a local studio that charged by the hour. My 15-year-old brother was a very early computer nerd and phone freak. Early hackers used a Captain Crunch whistle to get free calls, but that's a whole different story. He had different projects going on all the time. Some pretty sketchy. He used to buy stuff from the US government. They mailed books for auctions and surplus disposal. He had set up a bidding account and had bought crazy used electronics and decommissioned communications devices. It was all through sealed bid offers and conducted solely through snail mail. You'd see a listing you wanted. You filled out a bidding form and then sent it through the mail. If you were the high bid, you'd receive a notice, sometimes 4-6 weeks later, with instructions on payment and drayage. He showed me a brief listing that caught his eye. It's been 50 years, but it went something like: portable field darkroom. Enlarger, trays, storage, self-contained with supplies and tools. The listing had dozens of abbreviations and other details that I didn't understand, and it was located 90 miles away in the San Diego area. Shipping was to be coordinated by winning bidder. I was very excited. My brother had gotten electronics and tools for pennies on the dollar. He agreed to send a bid for me. After much deliberation on how much to bid, we came upon the magnificent sum of $80. There was little to no chance that I would win, but who knows? We sent off the bid. When the end date came and went, I breathlessly checked the mail daily to see if won. Finally, I received a very official-looking envelope with basically a notification and an invoice. I won. We paid through a postal money order and received instructions on where to collect my triumphant spoils. This is where things go sideways. We just had no way of getting the stuff picked up. It was miles away. I didn't even have a bicycle at the time, thanks Bobby Dickstein. My brother worked out a deal with a super shady guy named Lance who had a mini truck, for a tank of gas and some swiped booze. My parents were super light drinkers. By the time I moved out, the bottles behind their bar were 90% water. We were mobile. We drove down to the warehouse with my paperwork in hand. Turns out we were going to a Marine base. There we were. My brother, a slightly chubby freckled redhead, me a scrawny prepubescent doofus, and Lance, a long-haired stoner straight out of Dazed and Confused, 15 years ahead of time but period correct. He was wearing a Mr. Zog's Sex Wax t-shirt. As we got closer to the gate, Lance starts freaking out. He's got pot on him and no ID. After we explained who we were and why we were there, the gate guard had us drive to a holding area. Do not exit the vehicle. Do not drive past the second fence. After about 25 minutes, a very stern-looking guy came out and walked around the truck. Gentlemen, I understand you're here to retrieve a parcel. Yes, sir. Do not address me as sir. I work for a living. I may have made this up. I'm Gunnery Sergeant Jones. Is this the vehicle in which you intend to remove your property? Yes, Gunnery Sergeant. Well, who is our man Flint? Well, me, sir. I mean Gunnery Sergeant. He said to follow him. He took us to a dusty field and storage yard where we passed building after building of neglected green junk. Everything was covered in tarps and tied with rope. He finally stopped and said, "Do you see the problem here? Huh? What? This is your darkroom." We were in front of a dilapidated 20-feet trailer from no later than 1960. It was filthy and sitting on very low tires. He opened the door. "Go ahead. Watch out for mice and spiders." Inside was as shitty and rotted as the exterior. Boxes of old photographic supplies, unrecognizable canisters, and an ancient vintage enlarger that was probably state-of-the-art when Ike was in the White House. I was crestfallen, feeling dumb. Gunny chimed in. "I don't think Cheech's rig will tow this thing." Tow this thing? I wanted to get out of here and never look back. What happens if we don't pick it up? Kid, unless you're hiding a diesel rig somewhere, that thing is going nowhere. We left. The coup de grace. My brother and I left. As much as I wanted to split the blame with him, he was older, this was on me. I told him it was great deal and that I knew everything on the listing. My money was gone, thanks Gerald Ford, but the worst was yet to come. Sometime in the next few weeks we started getting official looking, abandoned property, letters, and notice of forfeiture, and then, it happened. I came home from school one afternoon and there in front of my house was the green beast. My horror was compounded by the fact that it was blocking driveway. There was no hiding from this. I went inside the house. I remember closing the drapes as if my parents wouldn't notice it when they came home, and started frantically calling the numbers I had for the warehouse. It was about 3 or 4 tries in, when I finally got someone on the line who could help. Yeah, we had a load going to Oxnard and Gunny said to drop it off on the way. I said, "Are you crazy? I'm a 13-year-old kid." The guy on the other end said, "Well, according to the Department of Disposal you're the owner of a surplus trailer," and hung up. About this time, a small group of nosy-ass neighbors and kids, most of my friends, had gathered around to see the green behemoth. This was perfect timing as my dad was rounding the corner in his brown 1972 Fleetwood Brougham, which was a tank in its own right. My parents were not exactly engaged helicopter parents. My siblings and I pretty much did whatever we wanted with little of no supervision. They only got involved when our antics disrupted their lives. Like now. My dad was not Ward Cleaver. He basically said, "Deal with it." Over the next few days I cleaned it out and was able to move it so it wasn't blocking the driveway, 8 kids pushing it. After a few days we decided to run an ad in the LA Recycler, IYKYK. I sold it to a hippie who showed up in a vintage postal truck and gave me $50. I eventually built my darkroom, and my family still teases me about the beast. Too long did not read. 13-year-old me bid on a portable darkroom and, 1, a decommissioned military trailer. You managed to get free delivery and got $50 out of $80 back. Seems like a win. No fees for the abandonment? A minor note from an old freaker. It's phone freak, not phone freak. As a fellow computer nerd, artist, and cybersec grad who interfaces with DoD folks regularly, I loved everything about this post. Totally tracks. Thanks for the chuckles. Bro, back then none of our parents knew if we were dead or alive, and they sure as heck didn't know where we were ever. Lol, good times. Kids these days have no idea. As someone who once spent many nights in the old chemistry darkrooms, that was an awesome story, op. Thanks. Never buy anything from a government surplus auction from California. They use the absolute piss out of everything until it's been worn down to absolutely nothing. Today I fucked up. In case you're having a bad day at work, this happened today. Posted in another community and gave some people a good laugh, so thought I'd share on this subreddit. I was using the bathroom at work this morning to relieve my bowels of some building pressure. All part of the normal routine. I am going on a trip this weekend to golf. Looking forward to it. While sitting on the toilet, I watched a hole-by-hole walkthrough for about 20 minutes. Not really realizing it, and the implications it could have, my legs went completely numb from sitting on the toilet too long. I stood up and bent over to wipe, and fell head first through the stall door, enough force that it became unlatched, and onto the ground. This scared the shit out of the person using the urinal beside it. And he nearly peed on me as he frighteningly turned around as I was scrambling to get back up with my pants down, ass out, and the stall door swinging out and around right at him, almost hitting him. Getting up was no small feat. Pants around my ankles, numb legs. I thought I'd never walk again as I scooted back into the stall to finish what I started. I don't think I can come to work once word gets out about this. Too long did not read. Legs fell asleep sitting on toilet for too long. Leaned forward to wipe and lost all balance, falling forward and busting through stall door. I've had this happen. Nearly fell trying to stand up. I have never heard of anyone having to stand up in order to wipe. Wow, that's a full body wipeout in every sense. You might not break par this weekend, but you definitely broke the stall door. Tears of joy. Lol, oh no, what an unfortunate series of events. Stood up and bent over to wipe. Da fuck? Today I fucked up by telling my manager about the group chat that excludes her. So I got new job about 6 months ago. My immediate supervisor, let's call her G, is a very unpleasant person to be around, but that's life. The pay is mostly worth putting up with it. We got a new person and G asked me to make sure they were added to the team's group chat. There are officially 3 group chats. A main one with everyone in it, and 2 other smaller ones for specific projects and those directly involved in them. And a 4th, unofficial chat that has everyone except for G. This 4th chat is used to coordinate things we do on personal time, but work spills into it all the time. It's sort of the default we all use. I didn't have the new hire's cell number yet, so I asked the new person's trainer to add them to the chats. He added them right there, and that was the end of it. Or so I thought. He added the new hire to one of the sub-chats and the unofficial 4th chat, and omitted the main group chat. G asked me today why new hire wasn't in the GC yet. I said they were. They had sent messages in it only a few minutes before. G told me she had just checked her phone and they weren't in there. I double-checked and sure enough. The foo. I said, oh, my bad. They're in the other group chat. I'll add them to both now. To which G responds, "What other chat? There's another group chat?" It wasn't until then I realized that G, being probably the most toxic person I've ever met, obviously wouldn't be involved in a group that we use do fun stuff after work. There followed the most awkward silence of my life. I don't think she believed me when I said, "No," so I got the stink eye from G the rest of the day, and my coworkers and pretty irritated at me for letting it slip. Too long did not read. Let's slip to my boss that an unofficial group chat exists involving everyone except for her. Edit. I meant team chat as in the chat the team uses, not Microsoft Teams. For sure there is now a new group chat without you. Add her to the group chat. Then open up a new one without her. I was in the group chat, but I got promoted to a shift manager. They made a new group without me. I didn't care. I get it. Is your boss Michael Scott? Because Michael Scott is the only person who isn't self-aware enough to know your team is going to have a group chat without you in it to talk about you behind your back. It's part of being a boss. Any decent manager knows that people need a place to speak freely that doesn't include them. And they expect to be complained about from time to time. Personally, I just laugh, say I'm glad you're all including the new hire, and ask that she get added to the main chat. Sorry you have a boss with thin skin. Wow, as a manager, I would encourage an employees-only chat. I would be more surprised if it did not exist, to be honest. Today I fucked up going to a little girl's party. I'm a literal-minded person and now I realize no matter how much a Facebook post says, everyone is welcome, and the whole, where I live, can come, it doesn't actually mean that. But wow, they really drove that point home. The mom and daughter were so disappointed when it was me and no kid. The girl had no friends to come over and the mom made me feel so sorry for her. I felt like I was that girl in 5th grade and really wanted to just bring a present for her. Got what the mom said she liked in a gift bag. But it gets worse, since even coming late I was still the first person and then they were so sad and seemed to hate looking at me after that. I wanted to beeline to my car but the grandpa didn't let me. He said I had to stay for food now so I did even though people didn't talk to me very much but the guys were cool I guess. Then after a while grandpa says, maybe it's a good time to, leave? 'Cause we don't really know you. Thank you for the present. And now I can't stop thinking about this sad girl in her house and her yard with trash in it that doesn't get picked up. I'm so sorry to be such a disappointment and I hate when what was meant to be a good deed gets punished. If you tell me I'm a dumb piece of crap, yeah I already know. I can't stop thinking about what a dumb piece of crap I am to be honest. So you can't hate me any more than I already hate myself. TLDR. Today I fucked up by going to a little girl's party. Everyone is welcome, does not mean show up without a kid. I dunno, sounds like everyone was trying to be a reasonable human and it was just an unfortunately awkward and embarrassing time for everyone. Weird, yes, but no harm done. I hope you can laugh about this soon. You're sweet. It was awkward for everyone I'm sure, but you didn't do anything wrong. You tried to be a positive part of your community and that's a good thing. Be kind to yourself. I can see why they were weirded out but also I think you had good intentions so you shouldn't hate yourself for that. It was really sweet of you to bring a present and although maybe it wasn't received well I think you still did a good thing. Like you said they'll probably want to keep in mind that a party for a kid means bring a kid next time, unless it's family. This sounds like it was painfully awkward but you were being way too hard on yourself. I really don't think you were a dumb piece of crap at all. It was an awkward situation but you navigated it well. You were just trying to be nice, and they were doing their best but also could have handled that a bit better. Why were you invited at all? Who invites strangers to a children's party?